Wow, I can't believe that's your mom. I mean, playing God, removing brains, that's some white people shit. What are you gonna do about that?
Well, hello everyone. Today I have a displayer of reviewing Velma once more. I'll be reviewing episodes 5 and 6 in this video, so buckle up, get ready for this very unfortunate ride with me. Velma is sad because she's not getting any attention from Norville. Well, good for him. There's a marching band sleepover at Velma's school. At the school, the mayor and the police decide to put a city-wide curfew from 9 p.m. onwards, so the marching band sleepover is cancelled. Daphne decides to go to the crystal mines to investigate about her real parents. When Daphne goes to the entrance of the crystal mines, she is abducted by someone. Back at the school, Fred is trying to impress Velma. Fred gives Velma some information that he found in his father's drawer where he keeps men's workout magazines, insinuating the fact that his father might be gay. Not only did they got my man Fred, but they also got his father. Rest in peace. They got another white man. Anyways, Fred tells Velma that his house used to be owned by a woman called Dr. Edna Perdue. Velma googles her and finds out that she was a neurologist who was put on in an insane asylum because she was doing ethically dubious experiments, whatever that means. Velma says that she needs to find Norville, but Fred tells her that he's probably with his girlfriend. Velma and Fred finds Norville and Gigi kissing. Velma wants to discuss the case with Norville, but Gigi tells Velma that she cannot spend any time with Norville until Norville learns to stand up for himself. Kind of a hard thing for a simp, but crazier things have happened. Good luck with that, Gigi. Velma decides to team up with Fred instead. Daphne wakes up to find two people dressed as Captain Caveman as they tell her that they are Daphne's real parents and they are in disguise until they can be sure they can trust Daphne. They also tell her that they never abandoned her, but Daphne's moms stole her from them after telling her that the parents disappear ominously. Velma and Fred go to the Historical Society to get some info on Dr. Perdue, but Dr. Edna's journal is gone and the last person who had access to it was Velma's mother, because there is a note apparently inside the box conveniently placed with Velma's mother's name on it. Great job. Velma has another attack there and Fred is unable to make her laugh like normal used to. I guess Sim's own existence is funny enough to make people laugh. Velma decides to split up Norville and Gigi, so she plans to host a marching band sleepover at her house so Norville could attend, and that will give Velma a chance to talk with Norville alone. Daphne is doing another Google search on the crystal mines. There used to be a gang comprising of old fired employees who used to rob the town. By the time Velma's moms arrested the gang, their number had grown up to 20 people, including a small baby who was Daphne. Daphne goes to tell Velma, but she's too busy to hear her out. Norville shows up and Daphne tells Norville about her discovery, and Norville actually seems interested to hear the rest of Daphne's story but is dragged away by Velma because she needs to talk to him. Velma tells Norville to help her and he agrees, and just then Gigi shows up at the house because apparently she also joined the marching band for some reason. They both decide to do a flute off, and if Gigi wins she gets to stay at Velma's house, and if Velma wins then she can tell Norville to do whatever she wants for the rest of her life. And I believe that Simp will actually do it too. They both suck at playing the flute, but Velma runs out of breath first, so that means Gigi wins by default. And then Velma begs Gigi so she can let Norville help her. On the other hand, Daphne confronts her parents, but they tell her the same story they always have, that they have found her in a cornfield, and Daphne could tell that they were lying. After Velma is done begging Gigi to let Norville hang out with her, Gigi tells that she has a secret from Norville, and Velma manipulates Gigi into telling her the secret. And the secret is that Dr. Edna Perdue is actually Norville's grandmother. Velma wants to know the full story, but Norville says that the entire truth could ruin his mother's life. Also, the band nerds are going insane in the background because Velma didn't give them anything to eat and she needs to get rid of them. The idea is to use the police car to get the food because only the police would be allowed outside during the curfew hours. Now they just need a car driver, and Velma emotionally blackmails Norville into driving for her, and he agrees, like a good simp will always.
Do it.
No, Norville, I told you if you do any more simping for her, we're through.
Gigi says that Norville needs to stop being a simp for Velma, but this time Norville stands up and he says that he's trying to do the right thing, that he's not a simp for Velma, but he's a simp for himself, and a better speech was never said again. Velma calls to Daphne to give the keys to her mom's cop car, and in the theme of being a bad friend, she refuses to listen to Daphne, and she just gets the keys from her and get out of there. When they were living in the car accidentally removes the cover of a manhole, and Daphne sees inside because these were the same tunnels that the Crystal Cave gang used to rob the town with. While Velma and the gang are taking the food, the police officer shows up, and Velma for once in her life decides to sacrifice herself. She says that she will distract the police officers so that the rest of them can get away. Velma is in a very satisfying fashion gets hit by the cop car. Praise the Lord, he's our hero, he's our Lord and Savior. When Velma is put into the cop car, Norville's parents are also there dressed as, well, whatever that is, and Velma can now blackmail them for a favor. Daphne decides to go into the mines alone. In the morning, Velma and Norville's parents can go home, and the principal promises Velma to tell her everything about her mother because Velma didn't decide to post their picture and blackmail them. When Velma comes home, her home is cleaned up because Norville in a very simpy fashion forced the band members to clean it for her. God, I need a simp friend like that. I wish someone would simp for me like that. At the end of the credit scenes, Daphne goes to meet her parents. They uncover themselves and we found out that the prisoner that escaped with Fred's was actually Daphne's real dad, and the Crystal Cave gang is still thriving. That's where the first episode ends, so let's very quickly cover the second episode as well. Velma's dad is taking paternity leave so he can't drop off Velma at the school. While on the way to school, Fred offers Velma to ride in his limo, and Velma seems actually interested in going with Fred, but Fred's dad refuses because Velma is corrupting his son. I mean, I would be concerned too. Velma goes to the principal's office to ask about Dr. Edna, and she says that she was a brilliant neurosurgeon and figured out a way to keep the human brain alive after separated from the body. And her work caught the attention of an army general. He planned to use it to spy against America's greatest enemy, meddling children. Meddling teenagers. Great. I love the comedy in this show. Can you tell I am enjoying my time watching this show? Can you tell? God damn it. My suffering better be paid. I don't want to watch this. Please help me. Please help me make this sacrifice worth it by actually liking the video. Kindly, please, for the sake of my tears. The army general wanted to infiltrate the teenagers to change their point of view on war, but he was always caught on the account of a special trick called pulling off the mask. But with the brain swap, he could finally do it properly. But apparently it never worked out. And with the pressure of showing the results increased, Dr. Edna went insane. She sealed her lab and put herself in an insane asylum. Velma makes the connection between the murders happening at her school and Dr. Edna's research. There's more to the truth, but Velma kept having hallucinations, so she is unable to hear it. And this time Norville was unable to make Velma laugh as well. Velma and Norville talk about Velma's hallucination, and they figure out that Velma has hallucinations because of daddy issues. Kill me now. I don't want to watch another episode of this show. Please. Please. Help me. Send help. Velma goes to talk to her dad, and for once he's eager to go with Velma because taking care of the baby is getting too much of a chore for him. Back at the Crystal Cave, Daphne's parents and other people are still mining the crystals, and her parents tell Daphne that they are doing it so they can sell them to gullible millennials. Have millennials not suffered enough? Have we not suffered enough? God damn it. What more do you want? What more do you want? God damn it. This is a cruel world, people. And they want to make enough money to move to a different country. Velma and her dad are talking at a strip bar, because why not? This show is very edgy. So they are at a strip bar apparently. Velma wants to talk about her mother, but her dad kind of keeps avoiding the topic. He leaves to make a few calls, and Velma rushes to the pole dance to get her dad's attention, but instead runs into Fred. Fred's dad is trying to normalize Fred because Fred is woke now, apparently. Velma corrupted my man Fred. Rest in peace. Yet again. And Fred's dad ends up dragging Fred away from Velma, and Velma continues to do the pole dance quite miserably, and no one enjoys it, not the people around Velma, and not the people people watching it. I can vouch for the people watching this show. And Velma's dad returns, only to tell her that he went to call to tell his girlfriend that he wants to spend the rest of his day with Velma, which makes Velma very happy. And she asks the question about her mother again, but her dad keeps avoiding the topic, but she ends up having too much fun with her father, so she kind of avoids asking it again. At the same time, when Velma is enjoying her time with her father, Fred is also spending time with his father, trying to make him get over Velma, and Norville is also getting fed up with being a beta like his dad. Good for him. Good for him. For once. Norville and Velma are talking after that when Fred shows up with a stripper and tells Velma that her dad helped Fred's dad get a contract for the stripper for Fred so that he can get over Velma. I mean, if he isn't the best dad ever, I don't know who is. Which, well, obviously makes Velma very angry because her dad used Velma as an excuse so that he could secretly do work. Velma confronts her dad angrily at his office and tries to get over her daddy issues, and after that she goes to the principal's office and asks her to tell the rest of the truth. Norville's mom tells Velma that after Dr. Edna died, the house was put up for sale and Fred's family bought it. And that's when Velma's mom got interested in Dr. Edna. She found Dr. Edna's journals and figured that her lab was still in the house, and that's why she went there the night she disappeared. Daphne is actually still in the caves. She notices that all the crystals are gone and that everyone except her dad is nowhere to be seen. Her dad puts a gun to Daphne and tells her that the only reason he got in touch with Daphne was because he wanted to use her as an insurance when leaving the country so that Daphne's moms won't stop him. That's when Daphne's mom comes and shoots the gun from her dad. Daphne's moms explained that they had been on top of this case ever since Daphne's dad escaped from the prison and threw a crystal through Daphne's window. While the mom is arresting Daphne's criminal dad, she pulls out a shirt from his pocket. It's Brenda's t-shirt, the girl who got murdered. Her dad explains that his wife just found the t-shirt and he was simply using it as a rag. Just then his wife makes a distraction and escapes. Daphne's mad at her parents because they always knew what she was up to and that they stole her from her parents. And then her mothers explain her that her parents abandoned Daphne and they just took her in. She makes up with her mothers and that's kind of the end of that small, tiny, little useless arc. Velma goes to Fred's home to find a secret lab. They go down the basement and the entrance of the lab collapses on them. After a while, Velma's dad shows up because he could track her phone. Her dad explains that he couldn't be with Velma because he felt guilty because his wife left him and he blames himself for it. And there's actually a kind of a good joke in there. When Velma gets up from the rubble, Fred was underneath Velma's big behind. And he just says, "I'm okay." It was not the joke or the setup itself, it was just Fred's face that made it actually really funny. And this show, as bad as it is, can definitely make me laugh every once in a while. They go down to the basement and Velma finds a note with Jinkies written on it. Then she starts having another hallucination. When Velma's father sees the note, he believes that his wife was actually in fact kidnapped, and that makes Velma's hallucinations stop once and for all. He explains that the word Jinkies was written in Velma's mother's handwriting. There are crystal tunnels not far from the basement of Fred's house where Daphne's biological mother is running away. She stops to pick up a necklace, but then someone behind her finds her. And that's where this episode ends. And I still think that this show is really bad, and it's not that bad when it's focusing on its mediocre story. But it's really infuriating when this show has to stop every 5 seconds to make a political joke. And I definitely glossed over a lot of the parts when there were these political jokes. I kind of really focused on telling the story here. So don't mistake this show for being a really mediocre show with a bad storyline that everyone hates for no reason. There's a good reason why everyone hates this show. I just happen to gloss over all of the bad stuff. And there are definitely those brief moments when I'm watching this show and I actually start to like this show, and then this show reminds me every single time why I should be hating this show. And Velma is the catalyst for all of that political commentary, so that makes her the most hateable character, and she's the main character character and we are following her most of the time, and that makes her a really unlikable character. And the meta humor still persists. For example, when Velma's dad shows up to help her in the rubble, he says that I'm the parent who emotionally abandoned you, and this is that kind of meta humor that the writer thinks makes this show really good, but I don't think that's the case at all. It's just people saying exactly what they are observing, and that's not funny. Like me sitting right now recording this and saying this in front of a microphone is not funny. It's not. So why do these writers think that it's funny? Like, what's the reason? Like, what are you doing? And there's another joke in this show when Velma tells Fred that people come to this historical society to find out which popular white actors are the descendants of slave owners. It's just these hatred-filled jokes filled throughout the entire show that the writers thought would make it a really brilliant show that standing against patriarchy, but it definitely buried the entire show. No one likes this show, not the critics, not the fans. And right now this is the third worst show on IMDb, and I think even if they avoided all of these political jokes and propaganda from this show, even then I think this show would be a really mediocre show. With its story and jokes, no one would have cared about this show, but this definitely became a really high profile show that everyone is talking about just because it was really being political and hating on different people for being people. And I 100% think this is a marketing strategy of the producers and advertisers to market the show. And I think that's precisely why the second season of this show has been greenlit. And it's really annoying to see that it works, this kind of negative marketing. They don't care if people don't like this show. They don't care if people are absolutely hating this show. They just care if people have watched this show. And I don't think a lot of people are watching this show. Maybe a lot of people watched the first few episodes of the show and then the audience numbers kind of dropped off, and they are just looking at the first few episodes and seeing that how relevant and how trending Velma is, and it's only relevant and trending because people are hating on it. And I swear after this last episode of Velma airs, no one's going to be talking about this show. This show is going to be dead in the water, and after that they might reconsider making the second season of this show. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. I'll definitely make a review of the newer episodes, and for now it's a goodbye.